What's up? Check out this blunt and honest review from the Jock and Nerd Podcast. That's us. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the jock.
He's the nerd.
And he's the rug boy.
What's up, guys?
Jock and Nerd. All right, fellas, let's get into this week's review. It is Marvel's latest and greatest, Thunderbolts asterisk. Here's your spoiler alert.
Strap yourselves in, you fucks. Spoiler time.
Oh, boy. We are at the 36th Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. 36th MCU film. And this is the final film of a Phase 5, officially. I also learned this is the 50th Marvel movie Kevin Feige has produced.
Oh, shit. 50?
Yeah, he's been working since the X-Men movies in the early 2000s. So I think he did a bunch as a producer before the MCU even started. And this would make it 50, which is kind of crazy. Thunderbolts, based on the comic book characters team Thunderbolts, of which there have been many incarnations. But the first appearance of said team happens in The Incredible Hulk, issue 449 in January of 1997. Thunderbolts comics created by Kurt Busiek and Mark Bagley. On the Rotten Tomatoes, this thing currently holding 88% tomato meter with the critics. Audience score 94%. Audience is really digging it. This 88% puts it number 13 of top MCU Rotten Tomatoes scores. 13. Lower than Doctor Strange, but higher than Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's where it kind of falls on the official RT. Money-wise, this movie had a budget of $180 million. Similar, exact same budget to the last movie, Captain America, Brave New World. It opens domestic opening $74 million opening weekend. Currently, it's sitting at $160 million worldwide. So Captain America 4, same budget. That one opened to $88 million. A little bit higher. This $74 million puts it the sixth lowest opening weekend for the MCU, sandwiched between Shang-Chi, that opened at $75 million, and Eternals, that opened at $71 million. That's where all the numbers shake out. The movie, directed by Jake Schreier from a screenplay by Eric Pearson and Joanna Callow, and it has a crazy cast of characters, including Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes, Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, Louis Pullman as Bob. You got David Harbour as the Red Guardian, Alexei Shostakov, Wyatt Russell as John Walker, U.S. agent. Hannah John Kamen as Ava Starr. Olga Kurylenko is actually in this movie as Taskmaster. She's in it. You got Geraldine Viswanathan playing Mel. Wendell Pierce as a congressman. Wendell Pierce also playing Perry White in the Superman movie. We will see him again. And that's really your main cast. Did I miss anyone? No. Let's not forget, this is the Bob Sentry that was originally supposed to be Stephen Yeun. Was originally cast and had to drop out because of scheduling. And they got Louis Pullman, so we could talk about which one would be better. Anthony.
Yes?
What happens in this PG-13, 2-hour, 7-minute movie, Thunderbolts?
Ooh, Thunderbolts is told mostly from the perspective of Yelena Belova, and it features a bunch of misfit heroes that are villains, people that are looking for purpose and are all working as fixers for Allegra de Fontaine or whatever the hell her name is. Yeah. Constantina, Valentina, whatever the fuck. And when she is investigated by the government, she decides that she needs to tie all her loose ends up and get rid of all the evidence. So she has them hunt each other to kill each other to basically do that. And in the midst of doing that, they come across a person named Bob, who was part of Constantina Allegra. What is her name?
Just call her Val. Valentina.
Val's experiments.
Yeah.
And this unites them to potentially find some purpose in life, become heroes, but also brings up a threat that they potentially cannot deal with and need each other to handle. And yeah, it's my long, not concise way to describe the movie. Not because the movie's confusing, more because I wasn't prepared this time to say something.
It's close enough. Well, let's start with you, Anthony. After Captain America 4, which was still kind of caught in that creative rehaul, reboots, reset phase.
Yes.
We've been moving forward. We saw a little bit of that in the Daredevil Born Again. And now we get to possibly the first full project post reset. How did this movie hit you once it was over? And anything about the theater experience you would like to point out?
Well, I did go and see this movie at the Alamo again.
Nice.
So I'm a believer now in the Alamo. And I went there. It was a pretty packed theater. The Alamo has smaller auditorium. So this is probably a 50-person auditorium. Mostly all the seats were full on a 8:45 on a Thursday.
Nice.
Had myself a nice bowl of popcorn with truffle butter and some loaded fries, and it was great. That was fun. As far as the movie itself, I had a good time. I was very pleasantly surprised with the movie. Being a Marvel fan, MCU fan the last 5 years has been pretty rough. Pretty hit or miss, mostly miss. And I just wanted to see a good movie. Captain America Brave New World was pretty disappointing, especially looking back on it.
Yeah.
That Frankenstein movie that we got. And I just wanted to see something that was competently made, that entertained me, had good characters, and wasn't expecting even, it to be for them to have a message, but that was a pleasant surprise. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I think what was nice to see about this movie was you can tell it wasn't really chopped up and put back together.
Yeah.
It seemed like a pretty confident movie. Like everyone knew what they wanted to do. The people that wrote it, the producers that oversaw the footage were like, yep, this all looks good. They put it out there. They were confident with the script. They were confident in what they shot. There were practical effects. Wasn't a ton. I mean, I'm sure there was green screen and stuff, but it didn't look like other Marvel properties have looked recently when they're hacked together and put together. So I was happy. And furthermore, I was happy that it felt different in a lot of ways, with some of the marketing, with the A24 vibes, the way this movie touched on some deeper stuff, the way the third act plays out, all these things we can get into. It felt different. It also was a good Marvel movie that didn't rely on a gimmick. So what I mean by that is the last couple Marvel movies I've really liked, like that post Endgame, your No Way Homes, your Deadpool and Wolverines. Yeah. Those are great movies in terms of great movie events, but they are
gimmick based.
Yeah. It's nostalgia. It's look at all the past, have a great time with the people you love. And this movie wasn't that. This movie was just a movie to highlight these characters and move us along, and I enjoyed that. And lastly, I also enjoyed the fact that this was a movie you could watch by itself. You didn't need a ton of background into all these different characters because you can pick it up pretty quickly. It had its own themes. It had its own message, but then it also weaved into the larger Marvel universe. And then by the end, you're like, okay, now I know where we're going and I know what's next, and tease the next movie. And it didn't tease something that we know we're not getting or we may never get. So overall, I think it accomplished a lot of things, and I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yes. If you recall, we never heard any kind of things from test screenings or reshoots from this movie, the likes of that we saw for Captain America 4. There was nothing. So this is a vision, a cohesive plan. Ruggs, how did this movie hit you? Is the MCU back? Did it feel like old school MCU?
It wasn't a cringy movie. That's what I'll say about it. It did its job. I didn't go. I mean, there was some David Harbour stuff with Red Guardian that was a little bit bordering on cringy, but it was fine. I expected that from the character. That's his character. So I'll let that slide. I wasn't embarrassed about anything that happened in this movie. I was like, oh my God. I wanted more, actually. I wanted more from the movie.
Yeah.
I felt like
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that it didn't quite get to where it wanted to go, but I don't feel like it was a mess or a uneven tone. I thought the tone was pretty even, and I feel like the whole production felt cohesive. So I agree with Anthony on that. I think that was so it's a good return to that the filmmaking, it feels more like it has more of a quality to it, and there was more thought put into it. And yeah, I feel like the overall theme of mental health and that stuff is okay. I feel like that there was a lot of Marvel writing here.
Sure.
Where things just happen sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's that you either gotta go with it or not. But I think it was pretty okay. It was okay. My theater experience is that I was in a packed movie theater.
Yeah.
And there was people like going crazy for this movie. The guy next to me was like, "This dude, you look like Questlove," and he was crying his eyes out during the last scenes. And I'm like, I want to cry. I would like to also cry. Like I cried at the Fisher King or whatever.
Yeah.
I just nothing really connected with me like that. Nothing really hit me in the feels. So I was just like, man, I'm like, what am I not getting? Like, what am I not seeing here? So I felt like
you're just dead inside. That's all.
Maybe that's very possible.
Oh shit.
But I feel things.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah,
I do. Feel things.
I do. I feel things sometimes. I cry all the time at movies. That's the thing. I cry so many times. So it's not. I feel like I don't think it's because I'm dead inside. Maybe when it comes to Marvel, I'm dead inside. I don't know. But yeah, I just didn't get the feels.
All right.
But I thought it was okay. It was in a bad movie. I can't say it was bad.
He definitely cries when he throws on the Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, that'll make you
and
cry.
Arnold
Yes.
Schwarzenegger starts banging the girl.
Whenever I hear Al Pacino telling me to fight for that inch, I'm crying.
Okay.
Whenever I hear like a motivational speech in a movie, I start crying.
Fine.
Or do you cry when Al Pacino goes, "Say hello to my little friend," and brings back
Here
trauma?
comes the pain.
That makes me cry.
I'm reloading.
Every time Al goes, "Wah!" I was tearing
in
up.
Carlito's way.
Yeah, Carlito's like, "Here comes the pain." I also had a really good time with this movie. It was kind of refreshing and slightly surprising. I was entertained. I was engaged the whole time. I thought it was really funny, and it was dark and kind of gritty and grounded and emotional. It was visually still like really dark and ugly, but it may have been on purpose given what the nature
Subject
of what
matter.
Did you get the feels though?
Okay, so I will say Florence Pugh is definitely carrying this movie, and my audience was also packed, and they were loving it. They were gasping, they were oohing, they were awing. Florence Pugh was getting to me. She almost got me with that whole emotional monologue at the end. But
Which one? When she's talking to Red Guard?
yes,
Red Guardian?
yeah, where she's like, I mean, just the fact that this was so relatable in the sense that it was just broken characters trying to figure out what's the point of everything. Like, it made it a super relatable movie, and I was surprised, and it had something to say about depression and loneliness. Was not expecting that, but at the same time, it felt like old school Marvel. It's a parallel to kind of the Avengers movie. You have interesting characters, you have banter, there's some quips, but then there's some good action. There's great chemistry. They're actually setting things up that are going to happen and not doing these willy-nilly post-credit scenes. So I appreciated all of that. I also thought the pace at 2 hours and 7 minutes, it was good. I didn't feel it, but I agree, Ruggs. I feel like they could have almost used a little more time to wrap some other things up. It is wild that Sentry is introduced in this movie because of the nature of his powers and how OP, as the kids say, he is.
I did you have like a passage of time that worked for you? Because I feel like that whole part where the Sentry's being trained by Allegra de Fontaine or whatever.
Yeah.
it goes by so quick.
I will admit.
And I can't tell how much time has passed.
He is defeated and introduced, defeated kind of quickly. And he is defeated kind of how we predicted, right? Like Captain America, he talked down the Hulk. I was like, they're going to talk him down. They don't exactly talk him down, but it's a similar thing. It's
like Nightmare on Elm Street type shit.
He is defeated by a group hug. But again, in this case, how they set up this story, I didn't mind. It actually made a lot of sense, and it worked, despite that he's literally defeated by a fucking group hug, right? This super powerful.
Do you think that the fact that people aren't actually dying and they're just coming back is that lowered the stakes a little bit?
I think tying that a little bit, but I think tying his powers and the overall themes to like depression, mental health makes it a more intimate picture in terms of the characters' arcs and relationships.
I think it would have worked better if we knew the Sentry character more. If we would have had more an idea of what he's about.
I mean, you're told he had an abusive childhood, and his mom said he's never going to be anything, and blah blah blah.
I liked Lewis Pullman a lot.
I thought he did a great job. Yes,
I thought he did a really
good job.
Yeah.
Sure.
I thought the way he had his innocence, or the way he can act, where he seems like he's blacking out because of rage, or he doesn't know why he's blacking out. And then his bond with Florence Pugh, I thought was really good. I do agree, Ruggs. There's a part in the middle that probably moves a little too fast, where he suddenly becomes the Sentry, and we don't really get a feel for why he'd go with Val. Just in general, too, the passage of time. I agree, Ruggs. It feels like this is occurring across a week, but then it seems like a day. I don't know really how long that's taking.
It's a rushed ending for sure.
But, no, I don't think the ending is all that. To me, the ending doesn't seem rushed. I just think that there's probably some middle parts that they cut out just because they were like, this movie needs to just move a little quicker, and we'll just let the audience fill it in.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you, Imran, in terms of, I think that the third act, what I like about it is this character is super, overpowered. There's really no way that these characters can beat him. But I like that they went into his brain and did you can say Nightmare on Elm Street. I got Inception vibes.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, a lot of that stuff was actually practically filmed, and you can tell that it just looks nice. It looks clean. And I like they beat you over the head with it, but he's literally hurting himself to try and get rid, and pushing down the void to get to deal with these problems. And it's like, well, the message here very clearly is you don't need to do this alone.
Yeah.
And that's the arc that all these characters go on, is that they're all alone because of various reasons. Florence is alone because her sister died and she's just wandering aimlessly with no purpose.
Yeah.
Whereas Walker is alone because he fucked up.
Yeah.
And he screwed up. And then, all these other characters are alone for various reasons, and they're all looking for something. And you're right, Imran, in that, like, at least for me, I agree. This is a movie about superheroes and godlike figures and someone that can turn people into shadows, but they take emotions that everyone can relate to.
Yep.
The feeling alone and purpose and bipolar and having abusive trauma that you just push down, and they weave it into the movie so that now you can relate to these characters that are spectacular.
And it ties them all together. And the message of you can't bury your past trauma. You have to face it. I just found all of it made me think of different parts of
I didn't cry though.
I didn't cry, but I was feeling stuff. I was feeling tingly, but it makes you think of all the things you face every day. And it just, that's what the characteristics of the first Avengers was great, was just characters, good chemistry, setting things up, and I didn't expect
the movie anchors itself on Yelena, and I think Florence Pugh does a really good job.
She was very, very good. Let's talk about the beginning. I love the Marvel logo goes black like the Void. That's a cool little touch. But that stunt off the roof of that building, it's a very Mission Impossible type stunt.
Yeah, she does her Tom Cruise impression.
Yeah, she jumped off the second tallest building in the world in Kuala Lumpur, and they shot that practically. It was kind of crazy.
Whenever I think of someone doing a Tom Cruise impression, I think of that clip where Chris Hemsworth goes to Brie Larson, "You're going to be the next Tom Cruise," and she gets all offended and goes, I'm going to be the first Brie Larson.
And what did she do?
Of course she would say that. How's that going?
I don't know what stunts she's actually done, but yeah, I just remember that clip.
No, but it's
She was
nice.
all spicy with them.
Yeah, I love the touch. She saves the guinea pig. That opening scene, she's narrating to that guy. There's that overhead fight scene. But
Yeah, I mean, I think that sets the tone, right?
Yeah,
So, like,
yep.
right off the bat, you do a real stunt off the building, and then you do an overhead fight scene where you can clearly see everything. I don't know if it's all her.
Yeah.
But at least you can. They're not doing quick cuts like you did in Brave New World, and you go, oh. Right off the bat, I went, oh, this feels refreshing and different. And maybe, like, one of the things I thought of was, well, does this feel different because Marvel's actually just doing things that they should be doing in movies? And I think that is the case, right? Like, they've taken a lot of shortcuts with these other movies. So I'm giving them credit for things they should already be doing, but that's why it also felt refreshing, is because they haven't been doing that type of shit.
I mean, actually taking time to develop characters. And
well, not only that, but actually taking time to go to real locations.
Yes.
I mean, they went to Malaysia.
Yep.
They decided to actually film the choreography for those fights. Like that scene where she's walking away from the building on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
They blew up a floor on the building.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Like,
this.
they did that. Like, they didn't skimp on it. They went and did it.
I take care of my kids.
It looks good. It all looks good. And it's just so funny because she's just like, I'm bored with all this. You know, what's the point? She wants a bigger role. Val.
Well, yeah. And her whole thing is that she's lost without her sister.
Yeah.
She hasn't talked. The relationship she had with her parents is even further broken because of that. And then because she has no purpose, she's acting as a fixer for Val.
Yeah.
And doing more things that she's going to regret. So she's just in this bad rut.
And Val's whole motivation is she is being grilled by Congress and has to fucking destroy all these illegal things, experiments. Anybody who's worked with her, she's got to get rid of them. I love when Yelena visits Red Guardian and that he's watching old footage of himself. And he's a limo driver.
So
filled. I'm good. How are you? But he sees the light isn't bright in her, and he has a limo service. He's like, oh, I'm doing things. I got a limo.
Whenever they want to have a superhero be pathetic, they make him a limo driver.
They make him a limo driver. You know what, though? In this case, it's very contrived, but it comes in handy because here's the plan. Okay, so let's talk about that scene where they all meet. Here's the other thing. I wish they showed a little bit too much in the trailers.
So that scene, I saw that at Comic-Con.
Oh, you saw that whole scene where they meet. Yeah. It's pretty good as we see, Yelena follow Ghost in, and then Walker's there, and then Taskmaster's there. And
they're not.
And what?
And then she's not.
Yes, they're all there trying to kill each other as Val has sent them. And Ghost unceremoniously, very quickly, just shoots fucking Taskmaster right in the head.
Did you guys have an issue with that?
Sure. No.
No, I hate that Taskmaster.
There's a lot of characters in here already.
I agree that version of Taskmaster is not really Taskmaster anyway. So
she had one line and then she gets killed, and it wasn't Taskmaster. So maybe they could do it again, but it does at least set some kind of stakes and some kind of loss. It was a little shocking. I was like, oh shit, they're just gonna do her like that.
Well, it's shocking because they put her on all the posters.
Yes, and then only the beginning of the trailers, and not the. But this was the worst kept secret. Everybody had guessed this, and I feel bad. You can read about. She had a larger role, and there was a recurring gag. But you know what? I thought it's fine. Take her out. Her and Ghost have similar, sort of not similar personalities, not powers, but they were supposed to bond. Actually, whatever. She's fine. We didn't need. There was too many people. Anyways,
it's a bastardized version of Taskmaster anyway. So
get rid of it. I like that fight scene where they're like the knife is bouncing around and they're passing it around, and some of the camera work was pretty good.
I liked it too.
I thought it was very decent and clever. Good.
Did you think it was odd that there was a running clock in the room that they were about to go down in?
No, it's helpful. That way you know how long you have
and
until
that the power source to shut that thing down is like, also in the same room.
Right there. Who designed this room?
That's very cliche. The running clock, right?
Ticking clock.
We just want you to know how much time you have.
20 seconds until the fucking thing goes off.
Yeah, the logical thing is just blow them up.
Yeah. Why are you letting them know?
Yeah,
just press the button and burn it. What is with the countdown?
It's so stupid.
Anyways, Bob, you see him, you see like a case fall over, and he just shows up. And he's like, "Hi, I'm Bob."
So was he cryogenically frozen? Was he vacuum sealed in there?
They thought he was dead.
Oh,
after experimenting on him.
I think maybe they thought he was dead, or they had him in there, and they were planning to blow up the room, so they didn't care.
Right, they were just going to destroy his experiment. So
like, and the timeline of that. When did that happen? Did that happen just before? Because like I thought that they could have. It'd be a backward quarter, whatever.
No,
Monday night quarterback or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck I'm trying to say.
Did you say
Saturday morning?
I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. But
gold
Monday morning quarterback. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like they had Yelena at the place where he was made.
Right. She found the papers.
They could have tied that together. Like that was just being sent there, and he had just done the experiment. But we don't know that, and it's kind of murky. So
what we know is there was photos of bodies. So the Sentry experiment was not working, and there was lots of failed test subjects. That's all I got out of that.
Yeah.
But you see the hair design and the costume and the logo. It's kind of fun, and she grabbed
maybe
it.
Upon a second watch, there's more stuff in there that we might have missed, because I know that there was some mumbling from that dude that she was beating up in the lab about the Sentry.
Oh, right.
Remember that?
Yeah. The Sentry Project's got something.
Yeah, so maybe, I don't know, maybe they tried to set that up. But anyway, so yeah, Bob's there. He's good, and he's doesn't know who he is.
Doesn't know who he is, and they manage to escape before they get incinerated as Valentina heads down there. But we start to see the first of many instances where characters touch Bob, and they find themselves somewhere else. This is what people are calling a shame room, is what some people are calling it. But basically, Bob's powers very interesting. The Void's powers. If you touch him, he sends you to your darkest memory to relive it over and over again, possibly feeding off the negative energy. So we see Yelena touch Bob, and we see her first Red Room project, which is to lure a girl into the forest so she could be killed. It's kind of fucking crazy and dark. So I love how they introduced kind of what happens to the Void. Then we get that scene where they're climbing out of the shaft back to back, which was pretty fucking funny. What'd you guys think of the humor?
U.S. Agent is great as an asshole and being a jerk the whole time and unlikable.
He does a great job playing the unlikable asshole, and he's quite funny too. Anything about the shaft? Anything about your shaft?
Excuse me.
That's my suit, not my ass. Whose ass is hard?
So yes.
Are we doing the thing where you narrate the movie?
I'm trying to get to the next big thing too that I want to talk about.
All right, keep going. I want to see how long you're doing.
So when did we learn? I'm trying to remember. Walker
they get out, and then they attack. And the Sentry he reveals his powers.
They do the old trick, dressing up as soldiers in plain daylight to escape. But then
they did the professional, the Leon the professional.
Oh yeah,
right. I mean, I think it was a funny scene, them walking up. I think one of the goals, though, and I think it was working for me, was to build. First off, you want to establish Walker as an asshole. I liked Bob being like, this guy's an asshole.
Yes, he calls him out. That's great.
And then also, you're also trying to build the bond that Bob and Yelena are having, because she has compassion for him. Like, even though she doesn't know really what he is, or like she thinks he's kind of just there and has nothing he can add. She still is nice to him, whereas everyone else is either ignoring him or just being a dick to him.
Yeah, she kind of like treats him like the guinea pig. She wants to save him like the guinea pig from the lab in the beginning of the movie, right? And it is his idea to like do the thing to get out, so he's trying to help. So Bob,
I just think I'd be super tired. I don't think I can roll up that entire. You definitely couldn't.
No, I couldn't. It looks exhausting. But then I was like, wait, how does one of you get out of the door without everybody falling? Like, you can't do that. And Walker is like, I just got to pull this, and hopefully you guys won't fall to your death. So I was like, what an asshole. You didn't even have a plan. Give him some warning. They just like jumped out of it. They could have all died. It was crazy. So Bob takes all the bullets and then just gets up again and flies out all crazy and crash lands and is captured and taken by Val, who has bought Avengers Tower, and it's now the Watchtower. She kept the bar up there, which is fantastic. And Red Guardian is her limo driver, so he hears her whole plan to lure them and release Sentry, and he kind of warns them. We also learn where the name Thunderbolts came from. That's kind of fun. It's his,
this is where I will say that the movie gets a little messy because they're from DC. I think they're in Utah. Let's go with Utah.
Yeah, they're in some desert state.
Because I saw that they filmed a lot of this in Utah. Okay. Let's go with Utah, or let's go somewhere out west. And Red Guardian is in DC. He overhears about this, and then we have to assume he has a tracker on her
because he shows up right there.
He just shows up.
Yeah,
and it's like, how did he know she was there?
It would take him 3 days to drive there.
Yeah, how did he get there so quick?
How did he get there? But that's where the time gets a little confusing, because even after that scene, and we can talk more about some of the nuances of that whole scene and Winter Soldier showing up. But then even after that scene, then they just show up in New York, and it's like, how the fuck did they get to New York?
Yeah, where were they driving? That is true.
Like the passage of time is very strange there. That's where I noticed it the most. It's like, what, are they just driving?
Yeah, they were just they're trying. So the escape involves them getting away in the limo. They talk about the Thunderbolts, and then Val's crew shows up, and then fucking Bucky, like the fucking Terminator, rolls up in his motorcycle.
I was with one of my friends, and when he does the whole on the motorcycle, one hand pump the shotgun.
Yes, the
swirl it around. I'm like, oh my god, they're doing that.
It's a reload, recock, and then
they do. What I like about this movie, I wrote this down too, is for Winter Soldier, Bucky, they treat him like he's a big deal. Like everyone's like, oh fuck,
yeah, he's a celebrity.
It's the Winter Soldier. Yeah. Like, oh my god, and they have the music when he shows up, and then he does the Terminator thing. Like they go out of their way to make you go, yeah, Bucky is fucked up, but he, compared to these guys, is like a really established.
Oh my god, he is the most like emotionally stable out of all of them too.
Right, because even later on in that third act, they don't even go into his psyche. They just go, well, well, he's just like, I'm fucked up.
Yeah, he's like you don't need to go through I already dealt with it. He is still a congressman, which I think is funny. He's trying to fix things as a congressman, but has to resort to being Winter Soldier because it's fucking.
I don't know how he's a congressman.
I don't know either. I don't think he's.
I found that to be very strange.
I don't know why. I mean, there's that whole scene with the gala and blah, blah, blah. But like, I don't think he's going to be a congressman once this movie is over. But yeah, blowing up the limo. And now he's captured them just to take them back to the trial to testify against Val. But they tell him she has Bob. He's an experiment. And so he decides to join forces. Right. And so now they're like, OK, we're all going to take down Valentina.
We're going to be a team and go down and take them down.
We're going to be the Thunderbolt, the West Chesapeake Bay Thunderbolts. That's what we're going to call us. So in the meantime, Val is training Bob, and he's learning how to explode glasses. I guess that's useful. And then you see her trauma when she touches him. Her father got shot in front of her. That's what happened, right? And then when she was little. And their entry, I thought their entry was funny too, because they just crashed through the lobby, shoot everybody. And then
she's like, hey, come up.
She's like, I left the door open. You didn't have to do that. Come on up.
So now, because she has the Sentry.
Yes. And this is where she introduces the new Bob, the Sentry, in full outfit. I thought the costume was okay. It looked like the comics. I mean, it's supposed to be gaudy and a little.
Yeah, that looked good.
Over the top, right? He's got blonde hair. The logo was good. I was like, holy shit, it's the Sentry. This is crazy. And then this is where the pace starts to get really fast. So you have one scene where they're fighting Sentry, and it's
over real quick.
There's some cool moments in here. Obviously, he can do anything. He's blowing people away. He's stopping bullets like Neo in the Matrix. He bends fucking Walker's shield, which is kind of hilarious because
he throws Red Guardian out a window and then brings him back in like it's nothing.
They can't stop them, and he just rips fucking Bucky's arm off. And as they're escaping into the elevator, Val's like, all right, Bob, finish them off. And now he's suddenly like, I'm a god. I don't need to do this. They pose no threat to me. I'm not going to do this. Her weapon that she thought she could control.
Well, I think there's also not only that he's a god, but he's just like, why do I even have to listen to you? I think
Right.
there's an interesting thing there with his personality and the god complex, and I think they're hinting at that he's easily manipulated, but then he's also got a couple of different personality things going on. I think that could have also been expanded upon.
Yeah.
Is like, how does he get to a god complex really quickly like that?
It's almost like he has three personalities,
Yeah.
right? There's Bob, there's Sentry, and there's the Void.
I would have loved to have understood like his psyche a little bit more in that moment and how the confidence he has and how that becomes a god complex.
Especially in a movie where you get the opportunity to go inside of his brain and you don't touch any of that stuff.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's unclear what experiments they did, what his powers exactly are, and they do rush through this. They don't. We're just assume that he's jumped to this god complex.
Well, he jumped for this opportunity because he was alone. And I don't think he had anything to lose.
Right.
They didn't realize how fucked up he was. They didn't think he would survive it.
Right. It's essentially, what if you give like the super soldier serum to like a manic depressive, Captain America
Right.
or Homelander? It's a very Homelander. So he's already god complex. I'm not gonna listen to you, Val. And Mel hits the kill switch. Of course, Val has a kill switch. And this takes him down, but instantly causes him to come back up as the Void. I love this look. It's so simple
It's very simple.
and so effective. The pinpoint dots for the eyes, and then just black, just covered in shadow. It's frightening. And he goes about and starts to Hiroshima shadow people. And this is why I think they showed too much in the trailers, because there was people in my audience that were fucking gasping when this started. And it's quite terrifying when it first happens, right? You know, he takes out the crane. The team does a good job teaming up on the ground, protecting the civilians.
So wait, yeah, I think you're going over that. I really liked that.
Yeah.
Because so they fight with each other a little bit, and they're like, we suck. We don't need to be with each other.
This
and
is when that conversation happens.
And Yelena has the conversation in the middle of the moment of feeling alone and the relationship she wants with her dad, and he apologizes. It's like, that's all very human.
Yeah.
But then I personally really liked when shit is falling out of the sky and they do a quick montage of each of these people being like, okay, we're just going to save people.
Oh my God.
And I think a lot of that stuff in these superhero movies gets lost.
Yes.
You don't actually see them saving anyone. You just see them. It's like, well, they're saving the universe. They're saving the city. And this one makes it just a little bit more grounded, where you can go, okay, like I can see actually what they're doing.
I mean, it's a simple thing we used to see in these Marvel movies. Heroes saving people. This is what you fucking came for.
Yeah,
Well,
you got to at least do a montage.
Not even the Marvel. I mean, you go back to Superman.
Yeah. Yeah.
The 70s Superman.
That stupid kid at Niagara Falls on the railing. He should have let him die.
Well, in the first Superman movie, they do, like, before you actually see Superman, you see him kind of doing all these things, stopping a robbery.
Right, yeah.
The guy who's getting the cat out of the tree for
Kinda
the girl.
Like they do in Sam Raimi does it in Spider-Man too, like the quick montage. Very effective, especially here where Red Guardian saves that little girl. And then
that was great. Because when he voids the girl, that's like, oh, fuck.
And I didn't know so for a section before they really explain what was going on, I was like, are they getting killed? Where are they going? Are they dying? It had me guessing. But very quickly we realize what's happening as Yelena, just like the fall she takes at the beginning of the movie, blindly, she takes another trust fall and goes into the fucking void. And she don't know if she's going to die. You know, they don't want her to go. She's taking a risk. It's a fucking crazy risk. And this is where the movie surprisingly got so trippy. Again, was not expecting. What'd you say, Inception? To me, it reminded me of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, being John Malkovich when they're in his head. She's running through memories. The camera is tilting through rooms. It's fucking great. And
apparently they filmed a lot of that practically too.
Her flipping over the debris that's flying at her as she escapes. I did not. So you got to imagine everybody that got voided. They're just stuck in their little shame room, reliving their fucking darkest thing, which is, it's kind of crazy. I kind of like that better than like the void from Loki, like a physical location.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is just in their head, just traumatized.
I liked when you get to the void, Bob, and it's not obviously a scene that makes you happy, but you would just hear him go, "It'll be over soon," and then you just cut to like his family and the father probably about to beat the shit out of his wife and with the kid there. And you're just like, "Oh fuck, this is."
But his mom is
it just felt a little, you know, a little different than what Marvel. It felt kind of A24-y.
Whoa.
Not like this is not like, this is made indie, but it just, it was diving into subject matter and showing us things that were like, this isn't normally what Marvel would do. Marvel would normally go with what they did in Captain America, where it's just like, let's just talk him down.
Yeah.
But they're like, let's visualize the trauma.
Yes.
And let's go on this like trippy, like interdimensional plane where you're inside this guy's head and there's trauma and you got to like deal with your fucking demons and shit.
Did he break down during that?
I mean, they found him. He was just hiding in a deep.
No, but I'm
room.
saying was the culmination of that. Did he break down and start crying?
Remember, he was fighting the void. He thought that beating the void would defeat it, and he was becoming the void. The anger was actually working against him. And while he's fighting, Yelena frees herself. They all free themselves, and they grab him, and they hug him, and they say, "We're here with you. You're not alone to deal with the trauma." And then that's it. That kind of snaps him out of it. We also learn that there's
what earlier on, Yelena, I mean, it's like kind of a full circle moment because Yelena and him are talking earlier in the movie and they're talking about their past. And he's basically like, what do you do with the void?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do with this trauma? She's like, just shove it down.
Yeah, but she was wrong.
So then he's taking that advice and beating it down. Yeah. And then she comes around and be like, oh, wait, we can't just let him deal with this by himself. I took it as almost like when people are abusing themselves to like mask the pain. And it's like, you don't, that's taken to the extreme, but you don't need to do that. Like you can just, if you ask for help,
you don't have to carry the burden yourself.
Well, yeah. And the people that like cut themselves or do like all those types of things where it's like, or abuse drugs or whatever. And it's like, you don't have to deal with this alone.
Yeah, man, because
he's really fucked up. Like throughout the movie, he's blacking out. Like he doesn't know what's happening. He misremembers things. Like his trauma is really bad.
Yeah, and in fact, when it ends and everything's restored, he does not remember anything that has happened.
Right.
I love the other memory we get of Yelena where she's in the Red Room and I have to assemble the weapons, and she does it first, and everybody else gets whipped as punishment.
That's a good one. I also like the one. I mean, I liked all of them. I like the one where she is confronting herself, like passed out drunk in a tub, and then the one she wakes up and starts pouring alcohol down herself.
Yeah, and then the moment where she's running in the forest and she hits the wall, right? Yeah, and then that's when we realize that she's got to break through these barriers. Like that, all that shit was great. It was so trippy. I did not expect it.
Yeah, I didn't see that
to
coming.
Be that fucking Eternal Sunshine, Charlie Kaufman-esque. But it works.
Well, that was the thing we talked about. Sorry, real quick. That was the thing we talked about part of the movie.
Yeah.
I think I remember talking about it with you guys is like how are these guys even going to compare to the Sentry? There's nothing. If you write the Sentry the way he is in the comics, he will eviscerate all of them in seconds.
I would argue that even the regular Avengers would not have been able to stop them because they would have used force.
I mean, the Sentry they make him so OP, as the kids say, that like he can do anything.
Ruggs, did the hug work for you?
I feel like
Did you cry next to that guy and then start hugging him?
I feel
the guy next to you crying.
I feel like the solution of okay, we're in it together, like Guardians of the Galaxy for one, ending.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah,
I don't know. For some reason, there wasn't. It didn't culminate at a crescendo at that point. It was just kind of like over before it began. And I just think, and then we awkwardly stumble out of that into Valentina's New Avengers.
Yes, then it gets crazy as they see Val and they're going to arrest her, and she dips behind a green curtain and they follow her, and it's a surprise press conference, and Val forever.
And the guy that just voided everybody is with them.
Oh yeah, he's there. There's a funny moment though here.
It doesn't make any.
There's a funny moment. Well, no, he brought everybody back. They all forgave him. It's fine. But
in a split second,
she is great at spinning shit. And in the press conference, she's like, "Oh, this is the secret project I was working on the whole time, ladies and gentlemen. may I present to you the new Avengers?
Oh shit.
What the fuck? And the funniest part is,
And you bought that whole thing.
listen.
You rolled with that.
I was like,
no.
I was like,
this doesn't
what?
work.
No, I was taken aback, right?
fuck?
I thought it was hilarious that Bob is clapping like with the audience.
I did like the Bob clapping.
He doesn't know that she means him too. And then you see Yelena go up into Val's ear and go like, "We own you now." So the dynamic has changed. She is no longer in charge. She pulls this stunt, and I guess they can't do anything in the moment. They have to agree to it.
I do agree that it was written in a way that doesn't seem like how that would play out at all. I think it's more for comedy. I think they write in a certain way, but in kind of the comedic way. But it does get to the point where Yelena and some of these characters who've been looking for purpose now have stumbled into a pirate calling.
Yeah, and you know what? When we first talked about this cast, we were like, "What the fuck? These fucking C-list desperate characters who all have the same power." But I really like the team they picked. Like it made sense. Minus Taskmaster, you don't need her. And Ghost she did a couple of things. She had a couple of moments that she actually saved them twice. But I feel like outside of that, the others really had great character arcs, and I understand. I like that they used these people because Red Guardian, what was his dream? To be in the Avengers, right? Like in that What If episode, he finally gets to be in the Avengers.
His whole thing is that he wants glory. He wants the old days back.
Yelena's got a purpose. He's going to get his glory. It was kind of a crazy, and then New Avengers has a bunch of comic book connotations. It's kind of like the Dark Avengers, New Avengers. It was very exciting, and the movie ends that way. But as the credits roll, you start to see the public's response, and they're not really on board with the New Avengers. Headlines like "Not my Avengers" and stuff like that, which is hilarious. Nobody wants them. We get a mid-credit scene, which is Alexei.
Well, you got them as the Avengers, but then you have Falcon Captain America making his own Avengers.
Yeah.
So there's two Avengers.
Wait, we'll get to that. We're going to talk about the Alexei scene first, where he's in the grocery store with the Wheaties box.
You want to cover every single
I want to cover
thing.
everything because this is another full circle moment where he talks about being on the Wheaties box, the glory, like you said, in the car. And now he's actually on the fucking Wheaties box. It says New Adventures. It was really funny. The girl's like, whatever.
Lady has no idea.
She
what
has
that
no
is.
idea.
That's
Now,
the way. She grabs the cereal box and that was so relatable too, because there's been so many times where I've been in a store and some employee's trying to sell you on something, and just to get them to go away, you grab it. And then as they get out of your line of sight, you just put it somewhere else.
She didn't even wait till she was out of line of sight. She just leaves it on top of the end aisle. Hilarious. Okay, now the craziest thing. At the very end of these long-ass credits, the longest post-credit scene Marvel has ever done. This was actually directed by the Russo brothers, not by Jake Schreier. It's 14 months later. The New Avengers are in the Watchtower. They got new outfits. And they have a beef with Sam Wilson, who is suing them for trademark infringement over the name Avengers, which seems really petty and silly for Sam to do. Seeing what we just saw him do in the last movie, like, really? You could be mad about the name?
Why wouldn't he just join them?
Yeah, and who do you have? So 14 months later, he still doesn't have a team? He was like, he had Danny Torres, Joaquin Torres, whatever, Falcon, and that's it? You still haven't put a fucking team together? It's been over a year.
Yeah, you should just merge the two.
However, the New Avengers are government sanctioned, and his team is not going to be. That's going to be an interesting conflict. Who's going to be on that team? Alexei wants to change the spelling, add a Z, and make tracksuits with corporate logos. It's not a bad idea. Make some money. Bob is there, just hanging out, drinking tea. He has not changed back into the Sentry because he's afraid the Void's going to come out, but he has done the dishes, so he's contributing. And then Yelena's like, there's a crisis in space, by the way. And this is funny, too. Walker's like, I think we got plenty of room around here. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, oh, outer space. I get it. Extra-dimensional anomaly. They rush to the screen. A ship has entered this universe, and it's the fucking Fantastic Four. And you hear the song, Fantastic Four. In what is maybe a spoiler for the end of the Fantastic Four movie, this is when they first enter the 616. What do we think of that post-credits?
Ruggs, you go first.
No, I thought it was cool. I actually didn't watch the scene.
Oh, you left?
You didn't. This was like the
I was
most
like, I
important
can't-
bit of the whole fucking movie.
I was like, I can't. I want to go home.
The guy started hugging you. Next.
I was like,
sharing his tissues.
it was like a packed theater. It was hot, and I had a very large man sitting next to me, and I was like, all right, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I'm surprised
I
people
saw the
left. Nobody
mid-credits.
left in my screening. Everybody knew.
Oh, I was the only one that probably left, but I left. I was like, I'll watch the shit on YouTube, and I watched it on YouTube, but it was like I think on YouTube for the copyright protection, they have to edit it like somewhat.
Yeah.
Or
I saw like bits of it.
They mirror. Sometimes
This is so on brand for Rug Boy
so funny.
to have left, knowing there's more.
The
Like, fuck
longest post-credit scene yet, Ruggs. The most important for setting up things.
Okay, but like, I get it. All right, they teased the fucking Fantastic Four. I already knew that was coming out. It's not a surprise. I don't know why would I jerk off to that.
All right.
There's nothing other than seeing them all in their new suits that are in Avengers Tower.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the Fantastic Four are coming in, we know that.
The suits
We
were
know
nice.
that.
They were like the dark suit with the red embroidery. And
So I mean, it'd probably be cool to see, but I wasn't. That's not cool enough for me to stay in the situation that I was in. No,
I liked the scene. It felt like old Marvel back in Phase 1,
Yes.
Phase 2, where they would tease stuff. They would tease the next movie and let's just make you excited for the next one. I think.
all.
And it fit into what they did, right? Where they're now the new Avengers and they're observing threats. I liked it. I thought it was a good post credit scene.
This what got me
Geek boner.
excited is we are left with a new Avengers team named, and again, old school setup from MCU, setting up the next. That's all you had to do.
Yeah.
You gave us all these post-credit scenes that went nowhere, probably will go nowhere.
Yeah, I
When all you had to do-
you got Harry Styles
Yes, you got Hercules.
yeah, you
don't
got
you think that the new Avengers needs a better roster though?
Yeah, what do we think about this team of who's left?
Because you know that Sentry is completely useless.
I mean, they can talk him into
that's the thing about the Sentry. He's a character you can't use because
he's not reliable.
he's completely volatile and you can't use. So you have like a Superman that you can't use, and only you like let him out of the genie. Just let the genie out of the thing, like for like 5 seconds, and then he's got to be
put back
down again.
So on that, while we're on that, I read something on Reddit. I'm now a big Redditor. So I'm a cinephile and I'm a
Goes
Redditor.
with the Anthony Polanski. Yes.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I saw something on Reddit that suggested that Sentry's role, because he's going to be in Doomsday.
Yep.
Is he will fill the role of what Molecule Man was in the Secret Wars comic.
Oh.
Where basically Doom used Molecule Man as like his way to get in between different worlds. Like I forget exactly the mechanism, but I think they were speculating that because he can vibrate shit and like he's so OP that Robert Downey Jr.'s Doomsday will get a hold of Sentry, manipulate his mind, and use him to like traverse the universe or something.
Did Molecule Man, wasn't he able to like change reality?
Yeah, he was very, very, very overpowered
So
as well.
is Sentry going to be able to change reality, or will they?
I mean, he could literally blow up. I mean, he could do whatever he wanted with his hands.
What if Professor X like pulls the Dark Phoenix shit on him and like walls off his mind so he could just operate as the Sentry, but like a depowered version of the
Well,
Sentry. So he's
Doom
not
could also use him as a catalyst for the teams to fight each other. Like now they're setting up these two conflicting Avengers teams that
What
may
if
not
it
get along.
ends up being the Phoenix versus the Sentry?
It could be something like that. It could be Magneto and Charles versus the Sentry, and then Sentry versus Doom if he flips back. Like putting the Sentry in this movie is crazy. The fact that he is now in the MCU is a little crazy because yes, this is Marvel's fucking depressive Superman who is unstable.
I love the Sentry's character.
It's a great character.
He hasn't been around in comics for a long time, but I think it's a fascinating character.
I always thought it was kind of not a gimmick, but like it's a tease because like you have like Hyperion, who's basically Homelander,
Yes.
and I mean, if you want to have like basically a Superman amalgam or
It's
a
Hyperion.
version.
He doesn't have a problem with his identity.
No, he's just an asshole.
Oh,
he's a real,
so
he's
like
like Homelander. But the Sentry's like, yeah, he comes with it's a double-edged sword because he's got all the power in the world, but they've got to like nerf him all the time.
Well, and they wrote it vague enough that you don't really know what they did to him or if it was a super soldier enhanced or
Now,
what.
listen,
Yeah.
now that Allegra de Fontaine or Valentina, whatever the fuck her name is, knows that it worked and all the shit is now destroyed because it's in that incinerator.
Yeah.
They can't repeat the
No,
process.
he's the only one.
Mm.
Here's another thing I want to note. Ruggs, you just said we all knew it was going to happen at the end. I didn't need to see that. Here's something nobody knew that Marvel does not care about spoiling this movie. Did you see how they are rebranding billboards and posters already? A weekend, 3 days after the movie comes out. They just
the new Avengers thing?
They're just putting new Avengers over I don't think they're going to change the name of the movie. This is clearly a marketing stunt. It just seems very quick and soon. Like
They're trying to get more people to go.
Yeah, they're trying to get this movie needs to have legs to make money.
Do you think this will work? Like, if you didn't see it the first weekend, like
I think there's definitely going to get some buzz. I mean, I think this compared to Brave New World, this movie's getting a lot of good buzz.
Yeah.
Sinners is still doing really well. I think it needs to do. I think it is a marketing ploy to get people in seats. I think also not now that it's pretty obvious, but we know why the asterisk was there.
Yes, it was the new Avengers. Asterisk equals the new Avengers. So I just thought it was crazy that they're already just putting this out.
I didn't notice that, or I didn't know that they were doing that.
Dude, it's I've seen pictures of billboards, posters. There's a video Marvel put out on their Twitter of Sebastian Stan walking up to a bus stop and papering over the old Thunderbolts poster with the new Avengers poster. He puts it up, tapes it up, and then walks away. Like, this is a whole fucking stunt. I think it's kind of cool. It's different. But I was like, man, you just spoiled a fucking huge thing. And possibly a spoiler for the FF in the post-credit scene. There were some other funny conversations. You guys remember any other funny bits? Like the helmet, where he's like, you wear a hat. He's like, it's more of a helmet, really.
Oh, with Walker?
Yeah, that was funny. When they're all like, Bob. And he's like, Bob? And they're like, Bob.
Oh, my favorite, I wrote this down, or one of my favorites was they're in Bob's memories.
Yeah.
And they go to the memory of him in a chicken suit.
Oh, yes.
And Bucky punches him in a chicken suit. And you just hear Bob go, I was on meth.
Yeah, he was a meth addict working as a side spinner in a chicken suit. That's Bob's dark background. And that explains, because whenever I saw the trailer, I was like, what is this movie? Why is he punching a chicken?
Where is this happening in the movie?
But it happens in the void. Can you see the void, how they talk about it, the nothingness, the emptiness as kind of a meta thing? Maybe they're commenting on the state of Marvel, that it's been kind of boring. And
I think you're reading.
I mean, maybe, but I mean, the void is a character in the comics.
It is. But you can almost see it as like a meta, commentary on the
just quick side note, my favorite Sentry thing I've ever seen in the comics is when it's the Siege storyline. So the Siege storyline is basically Norman Osborn is running the Avengers. He's in government and he's has his own version of the Avengers. And
the Dark Avengers.
Avengers, correct. And Norman Osborn is the Iron Patriot, who they made into not Winter Soldier, War Machine. And Asgard exists over Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, so the Norman Osborn basically says this is not supposed to be here. He declares war on Asgard. And they're fighting with the Asgardians, and Ares, who is fighting with the Dark Avengers, all of a sudden is like, I forget the exact reasoning, but he's basically like, fuck, stop bossing me around like Norman or whatever. He's like, I'm done with you. And he starts to attack him. And Norman pulls out the Sentry, who he's manipulated into this. And the Sentry's void is coming out. And Sentry literally takes Ares, who's a god. And there's a panel where he grabs him by the neck and Ares is do whatever you need to do or whatever. And he just rips him in half. And it's his guts are all over the pages, and it's so great. And you're just like, oh my God, the Sentry's crazy.
He's like Conquest from Invincible or Nolan or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my quick Sentry side tangent.
Omega power.
I mean, he's a cool character, and just this quick introduction could have used probably, like you guys said, a little more diving into his psyche. But overall, I thought they did, a good job in terms of the whole message and themes of everything. We talked about, do we like this team? Do we like the character arcs? I thought a couple of the guys get a good character arc. You don't see everybody's trauma, right, when they go in.
Mm-hmm.
But
you don't need to.
No.
I mean, another movie might have done everyone's trauma, but I liked the arcs that you care about in this movie are Yelena, Bob, and Walker, in my opinion.
Yes.
And a little bit of Red Guardian. Like, they all have a decent arc. Ghost is a little bit short-shafted in that sense, but he's not all that interesting anyway, so I was pleasantly surprised with everything.
This double-page spread you just posted of that moment that you just described is amazing. Look at those guts. Fucking, he just rips them in half.
That was when I was reading comics.
That's some fun stuff. So do we think Marvel is back on track a little bit?
That was the question I wrote down, and I was going to ask that to Rug Boy because I heard his instant reaction, and I already knew he was like kind of on the movie, okay.
Yeah.
So we got to start with Ruggs on this.
Ruggs, is this the first cohesive movie?
I feel like it's in a step in the right direction.
Okay.
All right. It's a step in the right direction. I don't think it's ascended to the heights that we've been in the past, but I do think it's a cohesive film. It definitely has a point of view. It has a distinct thing it's trying to do with the depression and the bipolar thing and how to get past trauma. So it's doing a lot of things correctly. It's a step in the right direction. Could this movie be better? Absolutely. Without a doubt. It could have ascended to higher heights. But I think it's a step in the right direction and looks good for Marvel.
I feel like if, the last few things at the Chapek era, if that dug a hole for them, they had to fill that hole back in. And I feel like with this movie, we're close to, if not back at ground level, base level of the hole, right?
What did you say?
I'm saying they got back to basics. Like they dug a hole with all these new characters that didn't work. And Bob Iger coming back, Kevin Feige had to take him out of this hole. They're filling the hole back in. And I feel like they're close to the hole being back level, right? Hasn't surpassed the peak where they were, but they're just back on a solid foundation ground level. Does that make sense? I think it is on the right track with this.
The whole analogy was tough for you.
Well, you just see that it's not stitched together. It's the first movie that's kind of cohesive, one vision, not cobbled together from different takes and things.
Yeah. I see where you're going with that.
The whole analogy was
was a little rough.
It was better in my head.
Were we in? How deep are we in the hole? No. Anyways, I would love to say Marvel is back because it would just bring me so much joy to say that again. I'm afraid to say we're not all the way back. Yeah. I think we need a lot more. We need a string of good movies, and they haven't really done that in a while. But it's a step in the right direction, and to build towards an event film, which we are doing with Doomsday, you need to have a good run of solid doubles, triples.
Yep.
10-yard passes for Rug Boy since he wanted to do a football reference earlier. You need just solid things that progress you down the field to get to that event film and earn that.
Yeah.
And I think this was a step in the right direction. I don't know if we'll ever reach the heights we were at before because how can you?
You can't.
Like, I don't think you can. Like that initial 10 years was.
If you can't do it with Secret Wars, you're not doing it.
Yeah, I just think it's they're in as Imran, they've dug themselves into a hole, so it's tough.
See?
But I think they're on the right direction. They had a clear vision that they're going towards where they could build this movie into the next one. So we'll see. I'm happy at least that this movie did entertain me and it was cohesive. And I'm hoping this movie makes money because if this movie needs to make at least, I think I read 2.5 times its budget.
$600 million probably.
No, that's not right. No? You need to make 2.5 times is like they need to make like 450 or 5 to break it. 450 to break even 5. Okay. Kind of a rough start in that sense, but hopefully this has legs because if this doesn't do well, it's going to send the wrong message to Marvel that these types of movies aren't what they need to be doing, and they're going to go just full out nostalgia, and that's not always what we need. This is I would say this is the first movie from Marvel in a while from these phase 4 and 5 that doesn't rely on nostalgia and actually good. And I think that I would ask you guys, is this the best phase 4, phase 5 Marvel film?
Well, we can get into that when we rank it. That's a good question. So Captain America Brave New World finishes at 414 worldwide.
So apparently that needed to hit 450. So I don't think
200 domestic. Will this thing make more? That's a good point. It needs to. I am more excited for Fantastic Four after this because I feel like they're on a little bit more solid footing. Now, the other thing is, before we get to the Phase 5 movies, what do we think of Jake Schreier directing? He is primarily a TV guy, known for the TV series Beef, which is fantastic. He did an episode of The Skeleton Crew. I thought he handled the action decently. There were times where it felt like a TV show, but not in a bad way.
No, I got that vibe too, that it felt like TV every once in a while.
And with the drama and some of the chemistry and the banter. But I didn't think it was a bad thing, really, that it felt like a TV show, but that's his wheelhouse. And then Fantastic Four, Matt Shackman, also a TV guy, but the scope of that already seems so big.
Let me ask you a question about something that I feel like this movie could have used.
Okay.
When Civil War came out, you introduced 2 new characters, Black Panther and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I think this could have used, this when you introduced Sentry as the new character. But you could have used one more new character. I feel like that we could have used another breakout character.
You know who it is? It's Val's assistant, that girl, Mel. She's a character called Songbird.
She's definitely either from India or Pakistan.
Is she really?
Yeah.
That's why he's saying that.
No, but she's also supposed to be Songbird.
She is supposed to be Songbird, yes.
But nobody really knows this character of Songbird.
Ruggs Ruggs has to know who Songbird is. I have no idea who Songbird is.
Ruggs,
I don't.
You know the Songbird?
It's not ringing a bell immediately, but
I'll make up something for her anyways. But you think another character? There was already so many people in here.
No,
they got rid of one.
The roster that they chose were all very alike people, right?
Yeah.
So it needed a little bit more of a variety of a cast, because that's why they had to kill off the Taskmaster, because there's going to be 2 Captain Americas, 3 Captain Americas.
Well, Taskmaster is like everybody,
and a Black Widow.
Yeah.
So you had 4 super serum people and Black Widow.
I wonder if they make sequels titled Thunderbolts, because like in the comics, you can have an ever-changing roster of characters but them tying this into like the new Avengers maybe is not going to give us any more Thunderbolts movies. I don't know. All right, well, Anthony, let's start with you.
Yes.
Final thoughts. Rate it. Give me a number. Rank it. If you want, here are the Phase 5 movies. Just maybe we'll rank Phase 5 so far. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels, Deadpool and Wolverine, Captain America Brave New World, and Thunderbolts New Avengers.
I forgot that Guardians was part of this, but Guardians is really good too.
It was good.
The only issue with Guardians is Guardians was very good, but it almost felt like a swan song for them.
Right.
Because none of it really seems like it's going to connect to anything else, but we'll see. Overall, I really did like this film. I had a good time. It was nice to just get lost in a Marvel movie and not look at it and go, I can see that's not supposed to be there. Oh, I can see some bad green screen.
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell that this movie's been stitched together. I was just happy to see this director who they gave him a chance, and it looked like they trusted him with it, and it played out well. And I was entertained. I appreciated the filmmaking. I appreciated the acting. I liked a lot of the characters. It was a very character driven movie. As far as my rating, this isn't the best Marvel movie ever. It's not the worst. I think the string of Marvel movies we've gotten in Phase 4 and Phase 5 has made me more excited when a good Marvel movie comes out. So maybe my rating's a little high, but sure. I'll stick with it. I'm going to go 8 out of 10.
Oh, shit.
I had a really good time. As far as ranking it with Phase 5, I think Guardians 3 is probably a better movie, but these are pretty close. I would say amongst the movies post Endgame, excluding the third Spider-Man, because that's technically not in phase 4. It's still in phase 3.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull up my list.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you everything. I would say this post Endgame, I still have No Way Home as number 1. Guardians 3 is 2. Deadpool and Wolverine is 3. And then Thunderbolts is 4.
Oh.
And then Shang-Chi is 5.
Oh, okay.
And then I would say Wakanda Forever is 6. After Wakanda Forever, I don't think the movies are all that good. So yeah, I would say, and then amongst all of Marvel, I already have a list on my letterbox. I have this as number 13.
Okay.
Next to Deadpool, Wolverine, and Captain America: The First Avenger.
Okay. Wow.
So
All
there you
right.
go.
All right, Ruggs.
The only movies that I've liked that have come out was probably Phase 5 would be Guardians of the Galaxy and Deadpool, Wolverine. Everything else sucks.
Yeah.
So I'll put this right under that for third. And I'm going to give it a 7.
All right. Where can you guess where you'd put it overall? Or was that too hard? Out of 36?
No fucking idea. It'd be mid.
Yeah.
He would put it higher, but he missed that last scene because the guy next to him was crying and had his shirt off.
Yes, you would have said this was a 10 out of 10.
I love that he left because he was in such an
this guy
unbearable
crying.
situation.
Ruggs doesn't do well in
Well,
public.
I was like, I don't need to watch this.
You know what? I've seen enough. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I had enough of this thing.
I got to remove my arm on the armrest from under this guy's arm. And
I didn't even get a fucking
No,
armrest.
you probably did it. He's definitely covering up one armrest. What is the etiquette on that? You should move your
Was
drink.
he the guy that was crying?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's a very large man. And he was with like a group of large men. And he was
an
crying.
outing. It was a government
He was
sanctioned
crying. He was
movie
audibly crying during this movie.
Look, I also really, I was very entertained. I was pleasantly surprised. They did some good things, reminded me of old MCU. Florence Pugh, Louis Pullman, even David Harbour stand out for me. I'm going to give it an 8 as well. And as far as Phase 5, I will go a Deadpool and Wolverine, and then Guardians, and then Thunderbolts. And then the rest are whatever. But overall, yeah, this is probably like 15-ish out of 36. Definitely in the top 15. But I'm excited that they're kind of just going back to what worked and giving us some solid
They just need to
characters.
string together some good move, like
Yes.
a good run. It's been we've been yo-yoed right now.
Yes. And we may have it now with this movie, Fantastic Four, Doomsday.
Yeah, the movie schedule is very
Doomsday Spider-Man.
yeah, it's very focused on. I mean, they don't have a ton.
What's weird is they haven't really announced any other movies outside of those.
Yeah, it's Fantastic Four,
Yeah.
First Steps, July 25th.
Yeah.
Avengers, Doomsday, May 1st, 2026. One of Rug Boy's favorite Spider-Man stories, Spider-Man Brand New Day.
All the Spider-Man.
July 31st, 2026.
And then Secret
And then
Wars.
Avengers Secret Wars.
Next
Wait,
year.
no, that's not Brand New Day. That is that Spider Island? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's Dan Slott's brand new.
Spider Island.
Spider-Man.
Oh my God.
Here's the thing. That's what's next on the big screen. But we just talked about the Chapek Iger reset, reboot. There's still a bunch of projects that we have to kind of get by on the small screen. So
Right.
next for Disney Plus is kind of crazy. This Ironheart show supposed to come out June 24th. There's no fucking trailer. There's no promotion.
I bet it sucks.
I wonder if they just dump this thing. So there's that. There's the Eyes of
They're
Wakanda.
going to give it the whole, the echo treatment.
Yeah.
They really should.
They
Just
they
fucking
filmed that
put this
thing
out
2
at
years
once.
ago.
Yes, it's old. It's been sitting around, and they should just dump that or just delete it. I know you made it and you paid a lot of money. How about you just don't even air it? There's that. There's the Eyes of Wakanda animated.
Nobody wants to see.
There's Marvel Zombies animated, and then there's Wonder Man live action. That's all still coming out this year.
Eyes of Wakanda's animated, right?
Yes, Zombies animated. I'm kind of looking forward to the Wonder Man with Ben Kingsley and Yahya Abdul-Mateen. That could be interesting. I don't know. He is rumored to be. He was rumored in that list for the second half of Doomsday, but
Was it you that posted? Maybe it was someone in the chat not the chat, like our, but the group posted that Marvel or Disney is now saying Marvel doesn't need to put out a bunch of stuff anymore.
That was me. That was a Wall Street Journal article. And in it, Kevin Feige is even saying, like, it's become homework now, and I don't like it. And they wanted more, and now they're going to give us less.
Well, that was the direction that they gave Jake Schreier and the writers of this is film this movie so that if someone hasn't seen everything, they can still enjoy it.
And I think it does work standalone. What do you guys think?
I think it does.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't know anything about Agent Walker, like, that might be a little...
Well, they kind of, I mean, they fill you in.
Yeah.
They do a good job of filling you in by insulting each other.
Right. And
like,
I still feel like you're missing out on a lot of the...
like, where the fuck did this guy come from?
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to not...
Yeah.
Because we all saw this stuff. So, like, we already know. So we don't know the experience of somebody who doesn't know anything.
We are the wrong people to ask.
I mean, does the fact that he killed a dude with a shield, that's kind of a big deal in his past. That
I vividly remember now that I remember watching The Marvels with two people that don't follow this stuff as closely.
Yes, that one.
The Marvels is not a good film.
Yeah.
But after the film, I go, what'd you think? And they go, they were like, we were really confused because there's a lot of characters we don't know who.
That one is really confusing if you haven't done the homework.
Right.
Yes. So, and now, Marvel will give us the Fantastic Four, a completely new family. Everybody can start on the same page.
Well, it's clear like this is the Fantastic Four is in an alternate universe.
Yes. And I feel like this should have been the start of Phase 6 instead of Fantastic Four because it is like starting to connect to that. But whatever. It's a good end of Phase 5 also.
Well, I think so. I saw this proposed. I heard someone say that this should have actually been the end of Phase 4.
Oh, Phase 4 or 5.
Yeah. This one.
Oh.
They should have done this where they built it towards at the end of this of Phase 4. And then you're like, oh, okay, now the whole phase is about the Avengers being gone, and now we have this as the Avengers.
Well, this is the end of Phase 5.
Right. Well,
but you're saying it should be 4.
Because,
okay,
for example, like this is building off stories we saw 3-4 years ago. For example,
well, yeah, Black Widow.
We haven't seen Yelena since Hawkeye,
right?
In her own movie Black Widow. We haven't seen what's his name Walker since Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
I see what you're saying. So what it made
Winter Soldier. Yeah, like it's been so long since we've even seen these characters.
Right. And then it would have made more sense to introduce your Shang-Chi and all your new things.
Right.
Huh. Yeah, that would have worked also better. Well, they got there.
No, we're here.
We're here now.